Hi guys, and happy Friday. Welcome to the show. I'm Amala Benobi, for those of you who do not know me, and it's just me on the show today. There is no Taylor, and for very good reason. It is believed, okay, so far we don't know yet, that Taylor's wife is in labor. Woo! Okay, so baby boy on the way, okay? As you all know, we've been waiting with bated breath to see when Taylor's kid was going to come. And it seems like today or tonight or tomorrow might just be the time. So he's not going to be here today. We're going to be having a little fun stream in lieu of him not being here. But we're going to be asking ourselves the question, can Gen Z take a joke? And in particular, Gen Z women. Now, I came across this really interesting video titled exactly that, Can Gen Z Take a Joke? And it's with a comedian by the name of Mark Norman. And I never heard of this comedian before, but he's doing this really cool thing where he brings together audiences of a specific demographic. He has a comedian do a set in front of them, and then he sees how they react. And now we're going to be asking, can Gen Z women take a joke? I'm a Gen Z woman myself. I love going to comedy shows, but every single comedy show that I go to, somebody or multiple people, and typically women in my experience, step out of the show. They become hecklers, they start saying the jokes are offensive, and they end up leaving the show. And I have a feeling that we're going to see some offended Gen Z women in this video in particular. And in this, we're going to mix in a little bit of facts about Gen Z and why the state of comedy may be the way it is with this particular generation. I'm super fascinated by this topic. I hope you are too. We're going to get straight into the video. And yes, congrats to Taylor and Ansley.
What if there was a comedy show, actually, comedy experiment,
I see some upset faces in the crowd.
where the whole audience is made up by one specific kind of person? And what if the comic performing on that show had no idea what that crowd was going to be? Comedians have to figure out what's the right material to go with, and then the audience has to grapple with how they feel about this. Do I like this person? Do I find them offensive? Well, folks, this show is happening, and it's called Human Trials.
All right, guys, make some noise for your next comic, Mark Norman.
Good to be here. I used to date a girl who lived in this neighborhood, Jewish gal. Any Jews here? Hey, all right. Get them. No, I'm kidding. Just joking. Good to have you. Thanks for tunneling. Yeah. Ex-girlfriend was Jewish. Met her on that Jewish app, PayPal.
I don't know about you guys, but I am a people watcher when it comes to comedy shows. I can often get distracted by looking at other people's reactions to comedians when I'm watching a comedian. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I can often see when people are getting offended during certain shows. And this stands outside of comedy. I go to musicals and theater a lot. When I saw the Book of Mormon, which of course is talking about Latter-day Saints and Mormonism and making fun at the religion, I cannot tell you how many people I saw that were completely unprepared for the show that they were about to watch and were so offended. I mean, straight faces the entire time. Some of them were marking on how offended they were during the show. And I just gotta say, if you are one of those people, maybe the comedy space is not for you. Now, this comedian, Mark, is stepping into a space not knowing what the audience is going to be, and he's getting saddled with Gen Z women, which some may argue could be the most difficult group of people to entertain as a comedian. Now, just a few facts about Gen Z and their stances on comedy. When surveyed, 81% of Gen Z says that they're predominantly getting their comedy and their jokes from places like TikTok. So very short, very straightforward, often algorithmically influenced content that gives you comedy that you want to hear and comedy that you'd be likely to engage with. And then these Gen Z individuals are stepping out into comedy shows where it's sort of a free-for-all for these comedians. So just imagine that. Now, on top of that, 41% of Gen Z people say that they are self-censoring when it comes to the things that they would like to say or like to joke about because of cancel culture within their generation. They don't feel accepted in making jokes, in talking authentically about their stances, be it on politics or other things happening in the world. So imagine that group put together for a comedy show. It'd be a toss-up.
I'll be a little darker than the other guy as well. Not the black. But, Hey, thank you. Just joking. I'm a comedian. Don't worry. Just zingers. Okay. How about that Mom Donnie? Oh, yeah. There you go. He won. I live next to a billionaire, so he was like, I'm praying to God he doesn't win. I was like, well, he won, so you better start praying 5 times a day. Oh, yeah. He was like, oh, he's a Muslim, though. He's going to be mean to women. I'm like, you're thinking of Cuomo. Okay. All right. And they're like, well, he's anti-Semitic. I'm like, well, he's doing free buses, not trains. Okay. That's for the Jewish gal. All right. We're back. Cool. I know race is touchy, especially from my old honky face, but I think we're all, thank you. Thank you, Queen. Okay. That was the gayest moment of my life, but yeah. But yeah, everybody's full of shit when it comes. I was talking to one guy at my last day job. I was like, hey, man, what's the name of that new girl and the new guy on the 5th floor, the really tall black guy? This guy goes, whoa, I don't see color. I'm like, really?
Look at the annoyance on the face. Let's go back for just 1 second there.
But yeah, everybody's full of shit when it comes. I was talking to one guy at my last day job. I was like, hey, man, what's the name of that new girl and the new guy on the 5th floor, the really tall black guy? This guy goes, whoa, I don't see color. I'm like, really?
There we go. Now, I looked into some of like the sociological takes that Gen Z has on comedy right now, and there seems to be a distinct difference where they're placing comedy into one of 2 categories, and that is punching up and punching down. And Gen Z, I guess, predominantly prefers comedy that punches up, meaning that you're making fun of somebody who is in a higher position systemically than you are. Think corporations, think people that they don't like politically, or politicians, as you can see in some of the jokes that are being made here. People that, if they experience a joke, are not technically in a marginalized group. So on the flip side of punching up, you have punching down comedy, where they feel as though you're making fun of somebody who is already marginalized, who is already on the down and out. Say a black person, a disabled person, a trans person, Jewish people. Left-leaning Gen Z in particular do not like punching down comedy, where it feels like this person should be in a space to be left alone because of who they are identity-wise. And I find that so interesting. And I see a lot of people in the comments saying that either Gen Z does not like comedy or can't take comedy, or that they absolutely can. They can engage in things like dark humor. And I think there's a big split in Gen Z right now with people who can and people who can't. And interestingly enough, I see sometimes when super left-leaning, highly offended Gen Z people can take jokes and when they can't. And it seems to coincide with that punching up, punching down mentality. For example, Epstein and the whole he didn't kill himself. There was dark memes, jokes being shared by everybody on the internet, and predominantly by Gen Z. And it's because they feel like they're punching up at somebody. This has been somebody who is systemically privileged, a criminal, somebody that we're looking down upon, but was in a position of status. So it's okay to make super dark jokes about his demise and about the things that he was doing. Think of the Titanic submersible, those billionaires who ended up going down in that submersible and having it implode whilst they were underwater. There was dark jokes overwhelmingly flooding the internet on all platforms and predominantly on TikTok. And it's because they're like, okay, these people are billionaires. They're in a space to be criticized. It is technically punching up based off of my status in life. So those jokes are okay. But if you say the same jokes about somebody who has a marginalized identity, especially if you are not somebody who is part of that group, Gen Z tends to get offended, it seems, which is why you're seeing some of the reactions, I think, in this crowd. They want a joke that coincides with their political ideology, with their specific identity, and with their moral views on the world. And if the joke doesn't coincide with those things, they're probably not going to laugh. In fact, many of them will shake their heads or even call you out on the offensive nature of your comedy.
Really? So I looked this guy right in the eye and I was like, hey, man, it's cool. I'm black. And he was like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, you may not be racist, but you are a liar. All right, cool. I just got back from Mexico City doing some shows. It's a cool place, although you can't drink the water there. So I got the diarrhea. Yeah. I was at a bar. Bartender handed me a cocktail. I drank it. He goes, "Uh-oh, the ice cubes. You got to watch out for that ice, too. They'll take you out." He goes, "I'm thinking about moving to America. You got any tips for me?" I was like, "Yeah, watch out for ice." We can.
This girl is like a prime example, I think, of Gen Z, and this is not to make fun of her in any way, shape, or form. You can see her actually nod in agreement when she hears political takes that land with her and land with her ideology, and you'll see a sort of stifled reaction to anything that doesn't coincide with her ideology, or she'll be shaking her head. And of course, these are hasty generalizations, okay, in many ways about Gen Z, but they are patterns that I am noticing as somebody who likes to go to comedy shows and as somebody who is also a member of Gen Z and female.
Kept in touch. He's in a cage now, but sweet kid. No. Just joking. All right. I told that joke in Canada. Some guy goes, "Hey, I'm Mexican." I was like, "Whoa, you made it to level 2. Well done, senor."
The ice jokes were kind of like hard to listen to, but that's because I have immigrant family, so that's just like a personal hit home. So like I don't know what that would be or how that would be received by someone who doesn't have immigrant family or friends or stuff like that. I mean, we should all be very upset about what's going on. But you know, when something has like a hit home, then that makes it a little different.
Okay, let's pause there. Okay, Tempest comments here. Oh, here we fucking go. But I do think that answer from her is actually super interesting. And it again puts into context a lot of the things that we've been saying about Gen Z and comedy. And it plays into what? That punching up, punching down dynamic. She feels like immigrants are in a down and out space in life. They're of a marginalized identity and experience. Therefore, it is punching down to bring up ICE and bring up the experience of immigrants. She also mentioned something really interesting, is that she is a member of an immigrant family. So the topic of immigration hits really close to home for her within context. Now, I think in previous generations, let's say millennial, Gen X, even baby boomers, comedy was seen as like a sense of relief. You're working your job day in and out, you're taking care of your family, you turn on the TV at night to watch a show or you go to a comedy show and you're trying to feel relief, laugh at some of the things that you're experiencing, laugh at what you're seeing in politics, laugh at what you're seeing in the world. But Gen Z, I don't think is getting that same relief from comedy. They want to be validated in their opinions in the comedy that they hear. And that's what makes them let loose a little bit and allows them to sort of take the weight off. So when a comedian comes out and is making fun of things that they don't agree with or is punching down, it actually puts them in a state of being triggered rather than relieved at what they're hearing. And instead of taking a comedian for the joke that they're saying in the moment they're saying it, they're taking all the context of what's happening in the world and applying that to that particular joke, applying it to the comedian, and then looking at themselves, engaging their own reaction for whether or not they laugh at something that they deem to be offensive, which is sort of crazy. I think a lot of Gen Z, especially ones who are sitting in an activist space, would feel quite bad about even laughing at a joke that doesn't coincide with their politics or feels like it's punching down. And it's because we've exercised a strong amount of control over our thoughts. And we're judging people really hard and we're canceling people and we're telling them what they can and cannot say. So now people are allowing that sort of mentality to affect everything they do, even when you're supposed to be at a comedy show relaxing.
Yeah.
Next goes old school. We went to a restaurant. The guy gave us the bill. My wife grabbed it. The guy goes, no, this is Mexico. The man must pay. We are traditional. We are old fashioned. My wife was like, hey, I like that. I was like, whoa, you can't have an opinion. Okay. All right. Just jokes. All right. I'll dial it back.
I've also, something that I've noticed a lot in going to comedy shows these days is how often comedians either apologize or have to be like self-referential and say, I'm a comedian. By the way, I'm a comedian. By the way, I'm just here to tell jokes. By the way, the jokes just exist in this space. Or they have to warn the audience whether or not the jokes are going to get worse or lighter throughout the show. And I've seen that change over time as cancel culture has come like in and out of style. Comedians having to prepare the audience for the act that they're about to give you rather than just allowing the act to play through. And it's probably because they they themselves feel maybe not the need to self-censor, but the need to warn an audience because of their reaction. When you see comedians like Dave Chappelle who are being dragged on the internet because of making a trans joke in a Netflix special that you get to choose whether or not you watch, probably sets the tone for a lot of other comedians as to what they're going to do on a specific night. And I've seen as it gets increasingly political in certain shows and in certain sets, how most of the comedians, at least I'm seeing these days in LA, are sort of just like making jokes that appease the liberal mindset, appease the leftist mindset. And if they're super offensive and not trying to appease those people, they have to sort of warn that they're doing that.
All right, let's do it. Let's think about Gen Z. You guys can't handle a joke, but you'll take a tongue in the ass. Yeah? All right. Okay. Any gay ladies? Hey, all right. Yeah, my old roommate was gay. Gay guys are the best. Fun, non-violent. You never meet any violent gay guys. There's no gay gangs. That would just be a musical. Yeah. My gay friend, he's obsessed with straight dudes. He's like, calls it flipping a hetero. You know, he likes to try to flip them. He's like, you know how hard that is? You know how hard it is for me to go out every night? You know, talk to a guy who you're trying to have sex with someone who doesn't want to have sex with you. I was like, that's exactly what it's like being a straight guy. And he's like, no, you got to convince him for hours, take him out. I'm like, yeah, same. Yeah. So we went back and forth arguing about this for hours. Eventually, I woke up at his place. Trying to spice things up with the wife, you know. Somebody told me to watch porn with her. Yeah. So I was like, hey, all right. So I asked her about it. She goes, I like lesbian porn. I was like, I like interracial. So we compromised and watched a WNBA game. Yeah. All right.
What is funny to you? Like, what stood out in the show that you actually liked?
Dark stuff can be really funny. Like, I like dark humor a lot of the time, but I feel like it depends on who the person on stage is, if that makes sense. One joke that they might not have liked and then from another person might have been like kind of fine.
Now, do you think that's because like it's a man and you're like, I don't want to hear this from a man right now? Yeah.
Okay, there you go. And that's a strong distinction, I think, drawn by Gen Z in comedy. I would say used to be a joke was a funny joke as long as like you said the joke in a way that landed, and no matter who was telling the joke, if it's said in the same way, it was pretty much going to be funny to an audience. And that's because the basis of the joke or the foundation of the joke lies in some understanding of comedy or the culture that it's making fun of or the particular person, and it lands with said audience no matter who the comedian is in front of you. Now Gen Z typically is taking in the context of who the comedian is, what their background is, and then applying that calculation to whether or not the joke is funny, which is so interesting. A white guy and a black guy could tell the same black joke, and Gen Z is more likely to laugh at the black guy telling the joke because he's black, and they feel like it's safe for him to be taking that joke and to be making that joke, and it's acceptable for him to be making that joke. So interesting.
His friends were on Ozempic. Boy, where'd Ozempic come from, huh? That really changed the game. I could use that as a kid. I was fat as shit. Yeah? We didn't have Ozempic when I was a kid. We had something else. It was called Shame. Yeah. And it worked for thousands of years. And then we got body positivity. Yeah, last 10 years, all I heard was big is beautiful, love the skin you're in, body positivity. And somebody went, we got a new drug that makes you thin without working out. Everybody went, put that directly in my ass. What happened to body positive, huh? You've made me call you pretty, you fat and you don't even believe it. You're full of that's like going Black Lives Matter. Well, that black dude's choking over there and he's mouth to mouth. What am I, gay? You said they mattered. It's like Lizzo. She was the fat champion. Now she's getting skinny. I like fat Lizzo. I stood behind her. You just couldn't see me. This lady, MVP. All right. Let's keep going. We're not gonna get political. It's too divisive. Everybody's so tribal now. Like Taylor Swift, she endorsed Kamala Harris. People started burning her records. It's like, nobody burned R. Kelly's. Is what he did worse. She's just voting for a lady. He's got chicks in a dungeon, you know. And look.
Yeah, I also wonder if this has been something that's on the uptick. Like if somebody could scan through all the comedy shows over the past few years, there's a lot of comedy about the offensive nature of comedy now. A lot of comedians talking about how they're offending the audience or trying to label the audience as hypocrites for the things that they are and are not offended by, because they know they're going to experience that offensive, reaction in the audience. I see that more so now than ever before in going to live comedy shows. Comedians, again, saying, I'm a comedian, by the way, I'm making jokes, and then making jokes about the fact that jokes are now offensive. And it's sort of like, it's tiring now.
I'm a hypocrite. I didn't burn mine either. I peed on mine. Yeah, felt appropriate.
Does anybody in here consider themselves easily offended by jokes? No, that's pretty good.
So funny. All of them say no, but you can see in the audience that there's at least a few who pretty much everybody else would probably say they are easily offended by jokes.
Sometimes they generalize you guys as like a group of people who normally do come out and get offended by jokes.
The thing about Gen Z is we all joke with each other a lot. My friends and I, we tease each other 24/7. But the thing is we know what is okay to tease each other about and what is not okay. And that line is very firm. So I think that's the risk with comedy shows now with Gen Z is that line is a lot harder to set of what is okay because different people have different lines. But I don't consider myself someone that gets easily offended.
That's so funny. It's interesting. And again, not to call this girl out, but you say you're not easily offended by things, but in your friend groups and where you're going out in society where jokes may be told or telling jokes with one another, you have very strong lines as to what can and cannot be joked about, which maybe would be made to use the argument that you are in fact easily offended, because comedy is supposed to be, in my opinion, one of those free range areas of society and of the way we socialize, where it's really the final frontier of free speech. There's really no line to be crossed, but now Gen Z is setting the lines and setting the boundaries. They're then going to comedy shows, which is essentially when you buy your ticket, you're saying no boundaries. That's what you're saying in the purchase of the ticket. And you come in and you're trying to impose boundaries upon the comedians who are there to just do their show. So if you have lines in the sand, comedy shows are probably not the best space for you to be in. And I wonder if other generations, you leave it in the comments right now, did you grow up in this way where there was very strict lines within your friend groups about what you couldn't joke about, very strict lines about what you found funny? Because I don't feel like that's the case. And now you have Gen Z re-examining even old comedy, going back to old shows like Friends and The Office and Full House and everything that we grew up on or the generations before us grew up on. And they're policing these old shows and really dictating that a lot of what was said in those old shows or joked about cannot be said now in today's generation because of these boundaries and these little lines that they've set in the sand for what can be joked about. Although when you ask them, they will say they're not easily offended. So interesting. Interesting is just the word I'm going to keep using for this show today.
Elon, he had a fun Make-A-Wish in the White House for about 3 weeks. That was crazy. He had the Heil. That was a bad Heil. Yeah. He made a statement. He was like, hey, I'm not a Nazi. I'm just mentally off. And Kanye was like, I'm not mentally off. I'm a Nazi. Kanye West, huh? Boy, oh boy. Yeah, he's the king. Klan hood, swastika, then he blew his cousin. I'm like, this is white appropriation. These are some of our greatest hits. Yeah. I think screwed up Kanye was Pete Davidson banging Kim K. I think that fucked him up. Yeah. Because you got to hand it to Pete, because her vagina was a predominantly black neighborhood. And he really gentrified the hell out of it. All right. Okay. We sent some ladies to space this year. That was crazy, huh? The Blue Origin. Yeah. I didn't like how the rocket looked like a dick. It's like, come on, this is a day for women. At least put a string on the bottom. Yeah, something. Yeah. I don't know why we need to send Katy Perry to space. I have no idea. We tried to send Lizzo, but we didn't have the fuel. But all right, okay. It's the last Lizzo joke. All right, okay. How about RFK? Huh? The voice of a generation. You know what's weird about RFK? He was a lifelong Democrat. Then Trump got shot, and he got on board. I guess he figured, well, now that you've been shot, you feel like family. Always good at a comedy show when you get the, going for the ha-has, but I got, I'll take it. All right, we got to wrap this puppy up with a bow. You guys have been very nice. Big finale. Here we go.
You guys have been very nice.
This is it. All right, we got this. Okay, you sound like my wife. All right, thanks a lot. We got to laugh. I'm Kevin Hart. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Hart. Thank you. It's fucking hilarious. Okay, guys, that was the video. I'm reading through some of your thoughts on the side here, and a lot of you have a lot to say about this specific generation. Let's read this. Sunshine Sister says they just came out with the Malcolm in the Middle reboot. They finally gave Lois a daughter, but she's a non-binary. Yeah, this time is so interesting because I think we're using a lot of our time, especially in the creative space, the entertainment space, the media space, to go through and actually redo old classics, redo sort of timeless pieces of media and entertainment, and in the space of comedy, and then going to clean them up essentially and take out the things that we would have been offended by or we feel like need a little bit of dusting up in today's time. And I think that's how you get a Malcolm in the Middle, where there's now a non-binary character coming out as a they, them on the show. And we're seeing it over and over and over to where nobody's really coming out with anything original, but they are taking the time to impose their political agenda on reboots and recreations and cleanups of what they've seen before, which is just fascinating. And there's a sense of moral superiority, I think, amongst a particular bunch, and specifically in Gen Z, where even comedy where you should be able to let your guard down and sort of have a free-flowing discussion and free-flowingly make jokes, it's used to, I guess, signal your moral superiority in times where you're making a joke. Even the dark humor of Gen Z is often a time to let people know where you stand, why you stand there, and what is worthy of dark humor and what's not. And that, again, applies back to the punching up and punching down. We're inherently making statements, political ones at that, with what we deem something that is capable of being joked about and something that is not, which I just find so fascinating. We're going to get into some super chats here. Got a couple today. Lord of Wisdom Seal says, of Lord of Wisdom C, do you think Black folks' negative media coverage affects Black folks, especially when they go into the dating pool? I'm not sure. It depends. I mean, are you playing into the negative media coverage of Black people? I wouldn't say so. Pretty much when we're in the dating pool, I think most of us are being judged as individuals across from one another. So unless you're exemplifying anything that people may be seeing in the media in relation to Black people, I can't imagine it would affect you all that much when it comes to the dating pool. And he sends another super chat saying, on topic, but you noticed the one lady who didn't like the earlier jokes, the white ladies, but laughs towards the end, unlike Glasses Girl. Yeah, there's some people where I feel like there's a little bit of give, okay, where sometimes they're gonna laugh, they'll let the guard down a little bit, they'll find something that they deem to be morally acceptable, and then some people are just very rigid. In comedy shows that I go to, as soon as somebody is offended, oftentimes, and this can often be like Gen Z women or young women, they'll completely shut down and they're done with the discussion as soon as the first offense strikes. And they've deemed this person is somebody to not be laughed at, somebody to not listen to, and they're done. Okay. And then sometimes you get ones where they really work themselves up, because comedians play off that too. They're waiting for the person who's going to get offended oftentimes. And then they put you in like the splash zone, the metaphorical splash zone, where now that you're offended, they're going to rage bait you even further. And they're trying to get you to, have a rise. And they're trying to get you to be more and more offended and upset. And then eventually these people end up leaving the room, and, so be it. Maybe don't come to a comedy show if you're a person who's capable of being offended in that way. And I don't know what people are expecting when they show up to comedy shows. Are they expecting to just completely be catered to because that's what the world does and that's what the internet does, and then they're shocked by where they're at? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Because if you're somebody who's easily offended, that is not the place that I would be. Now, David asks, Amla, what gen are you? I'm Gen Z. So I felt like this video was apt to react to today. And we've made it to the end. I'm short of breath because I'm very much pregnant, okay? Taylor's having his baby today. Mine is coming in about 14, 15 weeks. So I feel like we're in the home stretch. Things are going good. Hopefully, my baby grows up with a group of people who are not so easily offended and we take care of some of these issues and we're allowed like a free space for comedy and thoughts and jokes, and they can have friends that they can joke around with one another and have a grand old time, and it's not going to be as crazy as it is right now with offending people. We have one more super chat here from Sonia Peterson Shepherd. She says, that was pretty funny, but I'm not in this crazy generation. Yeah, I find it so difficult because sometimes with Gen Z, I'm looking at the comedy, I'm like, wow, you really will go places. And you'll go to some dark places. And there are, I think, certain subsets of Gen Z that really like dark humor, no matter who is making that joke and no matter what the joke is about. And maybe that's particularly Gen Z men, because in a lot of the surveys that we're seeing, Gen Z men are trending very conservatively, very free speech, very open to comedy and jokes. And it might be a pendulum reaction to just how extreme cancel culture and self-censoring has become, that they're really deeply engaging with things like dark humor and things you're not supposed to joke about, whereas women are swinging in the opposite direction. They're going super liberal, super left-leaning, super self-censoring, super outwardly censoring other people, which is why starting an episode right here with Gen Z women is such a brilliant idea. And shout out to this comedian who I had not heard of, again, Mark Normand, for this show idea, because I think it's going to be super successful and super interesting. Guys, that's our show for today. We kept it quick. We kept it light. Taylor isn't here and I didn't want any technical difficulties, okay, without my homeboy here. Again, leave some congratulation messages for Taylor in the comments down below, because he is, we believe, having his baby boy. Okay, at least very, very soon, it seems. Guys, if you like this stream, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I do a live stream for you guys, which is typically every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Taylor may or may not be here next week. We do not know. Let's see how things go, and I'll keep you guys posted on everything here on this channel or on Patreon, which you guys can check out in the description down below. You'll get an extra episode on Patreon on Sunday, sitting down with me, drinking some tea, talking some tea. I'll see you guys over there. Leave your thoughts in the comments on this. I want to hear your breakdowns of Gen Z. If you're from a different generation, tell me how your generation viewed comedy, how they engage with it, how that is changed. If you disagree with anything said during this live, do get out, but do so respectfully in the comments down below. I encourage healthy debate on this channel. I am short of breath. And with that, guys, I'm going to let you go. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you tomorrow with